welcome. I am Chelyn Briand, and I don't know about you, but I have been so intrigued with AI, and this is a wonderful opportunity for you to see how my special guests have been utilizing AI and created businesses around it. I think you're going to be really excited. So I want to go ahead and introduce everyone. We have Peter Bittner with the Upgrade, and he is involved. We'll share more about MindStudio and some of the tools that you'll learn about. And I'm just thrilled to have Kimberly and Jessica here. They are the founders of the Academic Insight Lab and have a great story to tell about going from learning about AI, using it personally, to creating a business and just a really thriving opportunity. So I welcome all of you. If you could take just a moment and perhaps give a little more insight into your background and maybe one nugget about what inspired you most in the AI space to really invest your time and your career this way. Peter, why don't we get started with you?
Awesome. Yeah. So my background is in education and new media. I've been a lecturer at UC Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism for the last 7 years, and have been moving more and more into AI over the last several years, and some of the implications, in sort of the media space, right? And now with generative AI, this entire, industry is just exploding with interest. And the Upgrade is my business that's really aimed at helping to bridge the digital skills gap in AI, right? And we do that through a number of different partnerships. Courses and education are central to what we're doing. And I'm partnering with MindStudio and their team to help lead their customer education and certification program. So originally, I encountered MindStudio as a no-code AI, app building tool with my students in some of my online classes. And I reached out to Dimitri Shapiro, the CEO of MindStudio, and said, I love what you're building. I want to get involved. And, that really led to this partnership, which we now have leading and helping build in close collaboration with their team education programs to help people, really level up their no code AI automation skills. And I had the pleasure, Dimitri introduced me to doctors Becker and Parker here, who are doing some amazing work with some of the tools at MindStudio, and I'm so thrilled to have them here. They are, OG certified MindStudio developers who've been building their own business with these tools, and really, I think I'm super excited to have them here as part of this showcase to demonstrate what they've been able to do with these tools. And these are going to be useful, to people far beyond higher education even, but it's truly amazing what they've been up to. And yeah, thank you so much for hosting this, Chelyn, and thank you for being here, Kimberly and Jessica.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. It's been interesting meeting other folks in the MindStudio ecosystem, meeting other individuals who are learning how to build AI apps. I think Kimberly and I are very similar. I think I can speak for her when I say, if you had ever, told us, if we had a crystal ball a year ago and someone had said that we'd be building an AI company, building AI tools, I would have never believed you. But that's what MindStudio has allowed us to do. But before I dive into that, I'll just give a little bit of background about myself. So I'm a health sciences educator and interdisciplinary researcher. I was a traditional academic operating in higher ed. I was a research director. I was a professor. I was teaching research courses. And I started a consulting business about 6 years ago now. And through my work with students, I'm still an educator, and through that consulting business, I've just really seen the customer pain points. Like, I partner with universities to help retain their students, and I partner with students directly to give them support, the support they need to navigate the often really isolating and challenging process of independent research whenever you're a graduate student. And so that's really how Academic Insight Lab was born. Like, I really saw potential. I started building tools for my students and my clients. Kimberly and I started building them together, and we became quite obsessed with the possibilities and with the potential and the promise of the technology. And that's when we launched Academic Insight Lab last November. Kimberly?
Awesome. Kimberly, do you mind giving a little bit of background on yourself as well in the partnership?
Sure. Yeah, it's very similar to Jessica's background. I was a traditional academic, working at a university, and had always done the academic kind of path until Jessica and I started working together through her consulting business. I was basically contracting with her, and then we both got very interested in AI. And I have a background in applied linguistics and corpus linguistics, and so some of that background really informs my interest in how large language models work. And so together we were able to use our backgrounds in academia and then technology, our budding interest in technology. I think we both see ourselves as enthusiasts, but not necessarily experts, to grow this business. And yeah, like she said, it's just been amazing. It's been shocking to see like how it has grown so fast, and it's fun.
Yeah, we have this amazing, vibrant community that's emerged similar to MindStudio, the community that's emerged through Discord and other, like-minded AI enthusiasts who are interested in leveraging this technology. We've had that same community emerge in the academic space, and it's just really beautiful to watch, to see how it's unfolded. Is kind of mind-boggling that, a lot has happened in a very short period of time.
Amazing. Well, and I did want to mention for those watching that the QR code that you see on your screen will actually take you to the Academic Insight Lab and their website to be able to learn more. And then Jessica, I believe you have a presentation to share and really to get into some of the details.
Yeah, I have a short presentation prepared, and Kimberly and I have talked about this topic quite a bit, and so we tend to tag team it. So Kim, feel free to jump in whenever you want to chime in. Yeah, we are really just going to touch on how we are disrupting higher education with AI. We've already introduced ourselves a bit, so I'll skip this step and just jump right into our agenda. So regardless of what industry you're in, I think if you're in a position to where you're interested in disrupting an industry, then understanding the needs of your customers, building for your customers, thinking about how to scale your product, and then having this futuristic mindset is important. And so we're going to touch on these aspects of our journey, and hopefully, even if you're not in the higher ed space, you can take away a nugget of information that might be helpful for you if you're interested in disrupting your industry with generative AI. And so I'm going to touch on just disrupting higher ed and building for your customers, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kimberly in a moment. So when we think about higher ed, I mean, it really is a traditional industry that's been primed for disruption for quite a while. When we think about the traditional higher ed model, it's very structured and time-bound. The traditional model is based on face-to-face instruction, even though online learning has definitely become much more of the norm in recent decades. It's also been very assessment-centric, and we're really seeing a lot of change in how we approach assessment in higher ed now. Really shifting, we're being forced to shift away from product to process, and then limited personalization. And so when we think about this new sort of era, this post-digital era that we're in, that is includes generative AI, it's much more flexible and self-paced. There's a lot of hybrid and remote learning involved, which has its own host of challenges. It's very skill and competency-based, and it's very interactive and student-centered. And so with that said, because of this new modern model that has emerged before generative AI, we've encountered quite a lot of issues, and these issues became especially there's a spotlight shined on these issues during COVID. And so through our work with students and faculty, what Kimberly and I know very well is these customer pain points. So as a faculty member myself, and Kimberly as well, we have limited time and resources. We can't scale our time. There's only but so many hours in the day. And then our students are increasingly diverse. They come from different backgrounds. They have different needs and different preferences. And it's pretty much impossible to build personalized learning materials for every student to meet those diverse needs and skill sets. And then on the student side, we're uniquely familiar with those pain points as well, because through my consulting business, we work with hundreds of students every year who come to us for one-on-one support because they're not getting the support that they need because of these issues with like scaling faculty time and resources. And then with standardized assessments and curricula, it leads to this like lack of agency among the learner where they feel that they don't have a lot of control over their learning. And so these are just some of the pain points that we wanted to see if we could address with generative AI. And so importantly, when you think about solving a problem, it's not always appropriate to throw technology at a problem. It's appropriate to throw technology at a problem when you can't humanly scale something. And so just because generative AI is available doesn't necessarily mean you should be solving every problem just because we have this technology at our fingertips now. So thinking about our academic context, it's impossible to humanly scale like timely, high quality feedback. Especially working with graduate students, we're all often looking at long documents. We're looking at literature reviews, theses, dissertations, research manuscripts, and giving timely, high quality feedback on that student's work is extremely challenging. And then obviously, like I said, I can't scale my time. There's only but so many hours in the day, and there's only but so many resources available to me as a faculty member. And then this idea of personalized learning is where I think generative AI also really shines, because my students come to me from extremely diverse backgrounds and they have different learning styles and different preferences. And so to be able to use this technology to create personalized learning materials is something that really hasn't been feasible before. And so the way that we think about doing that, like once you've identified a problem where it is appropriate to use technology to address it, in our approach with working with the universities, it's all about this idea of incremental and sustainability. So first we focus on the faculty. We train them. We focus on basic like functional and critical AI literacies. Then we help the faculty learn how to teach the students how to use the tools so that the faculty can model the ethical and responsible use that they want to see in their own students. And then the students start beginning to use the tools. And this is certainly going to change. You know, we're early adopters at this point. And so this idea of an incremental approach might not always be necessary. I think many people are going to be very fluent in how to use this technology in the future, but right now they're not. And so taking an incremental approach is extremely important. And so if you're starting to build AI tools and AI apps with MindStudio and you're trying to find your niche for disruption, this is just some advice that we have for you. Start with what you know and what you value, and then think about what the market needs and what is technologically possible. So if you're already building AI apps, then you know what's technologically possible. And so then move from there to think about what are you really good at and what do you value? And then what does the market need? Because if you're good at it, but the market doesn't need it, then who cares? You don't want to be in that position. Instead, I look at kind of how Academic Insight Lab came about, our niche for disruption. Like what the market needs is resources in order to meet the needs of diverse learners, the ability to scale faculty time and resources. There's also a big problem in graduate level education where around 50% of PhD or doctoral students don't graduate. So that's a major problem that we're trying to address with this technology. And then in terms of Kimberly and I, our expertise is in academic research, research writing, disciplinary writing. And we're also really passionate about teaching other academics about how to leverage this technology ethically and responsibly. And so we have found like a niche within a niche where we've connected with an academic community that is really focused on ethical and responsible use. And then in terms of technological feasibility, we build tools that provide instant personalized feedback, the ability for faculty to create personalized learning materials. And there is some automation of administrative tasks that, that administrators are really excited about. But again, this idea of an incremental approach is really important for capitalizing on this niche, because there's a lot of fear and uncertainty right now around automation. And so a lot of our focus is actually on the augmentation side of this work. So when we were developing Academic Insight Lab, I like to think of using the SWOT framework. So if you're in a position like us where you've identified your niche and you're wondering, what's next, we highly recommend starting by thinking about your strengths. Kimberly and I, like I said, we're experts in our fields. We're passionate about ethical and responsible use. We're credible researchers. We're actively publishing and exploring the capabilities and limitations of generative AI so that we can make sure that our tools are effective. Then also think about your weaknesses so that you can prime yourself to address those weaknesses. And so Kimberly and I are new to the ed tech space. We are highly specialized, and we didn't have any funding. And that's also the beauty of this technology, is you don't have to raise money in order to build no-code tools using MindStudio's platform. And then thinking about the opportunities and the threats. And so again, if you're in a position where you're trying to build these tools, using the SWOT framework, I think, is a really useful way for sort of getting a lay of the land and really thinking about how you're going to position yourself in the market. And so when we started building AI Lab, we really just started looking around at what else was in the market. We took ideas from other indirect competitors to help us think about pricing. And so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We also got ideas from consensus about how to position our technology against ChatGPT. So again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel if you're interested in learning how to build AI tools, regardless of what your niche is. Looking at other indirect competitors can start to give you a sense of how you might position your tools against what is already in the market, such as everyone right now is very much familiar with ChatGPT. So this is just one example of how we do that to communicate our value to our customers. As you can see here, it might be a little difficult to see, but at the most basic example, our tools are formative feedback tools. They're not designed to generate text for the user. And so, for example, if one of my students were to go into ChatGPT to say, I'm really struggling with crafting this research question or this hypothesis, even if they don't want it to generate text for them, it might generate an entirely new or better written research question or hypothesis. And then that puts the student in an awkward position where they feel tempted, because now that they see this beautifully written question, which might not have been what they were even looking for. And so we really focus on flipping the generative AI paradigm. Instead of building tools that do the work for the user, we really focus on making this human and student-centered, where the student is driving that experience and the technology is just being leveraged to augment how they're approaching the research and writing. All right, Kimberly, you want to touch on scaling your product and what the future holds?
Sure. So as Jessica said, I'll talk a little bit about kind of how we're growing and what's to come for us, so that you can think about that for your own product roadmap. So in terms of growth, initially, we recognize the need to first grow our ethos and our credibility, and in academia, as well as in many other arenas, that always starts with research. And then beyond that, we established some partnerships with universities as a way to scale effectively. So kind of moving from a B2C to a B2B product. And then we do a lot of professional development and training. So we offer free workshops in AI literacy. That's a big part of our mission, is to enhance AI literacy so that people can really understand what this technology is capable of, what its limitations and challenges and also benefits are. We do a lot of networking. Of course, for us, that means going to conferences, lots of work on LinkedIn, seminars, online forums, etc. And then finally, looking at funding and grants. And so these are all the things that anyone could do in almost any industry. It's also really important to us to do continual needs assessment with all kinds of stakeholders. And so, of course, once we got our minimum viable prototype, our MVP, we implemented that and we started collecting data. So what was going well? What were some of the challenges? And then not just trying to get it, but really to incentivize it so that we could improve iteratively and sustainably, kind of so that we didn't bite off more than we could chew. So identifying really specific and narrow use cases where we could improve, doing beta testing, identifying users that were willing and able to give us that kind of feedback, and just generally staying in touch with customers constantly. So those are some kind of broad stroke ways to improve your offerings, and I'll talk through kind of our roadmap from where we started in 2023, just really quickly. We started with about 60 AI tools, and we were not looking at university partnerships at the time. We were just going B2C. But then as we started doing our weekly meetings with our members, which we call insight sessions, and orientations with one-on-one, it was me leading orientations with our customers. We started giving discount codes. We started encouraging people to upgrade to a paid subscription. And then through that individual one-to-one contact, we started meeting decision makers, and they started sharing our product with stakeholders, which then primed us for exploring university partnerships. And that's when we started to get some ground in the B2B market. From there, we started getting requests, and so we started collaborating with people to discover, ways to make tools that are very specific to their needs, like bespoke solutions. And then we got to a point where we were able to and needed to hire a fractional CTO to help us collect data. And because, as non-tech founders, we needed help discerning those tasks. Now, the beauty of AI is it kind of blurs the lines, I think, a little bit between tech and non-tech in terms of founding. And so, we were able to create the vision for ourselves, but eventually we did need to ask someone to help us for more robust data collection. And finally, pilot testing with a university partner. It took us, a few months to get here, and this is where we are now. So we're working diligently on teaching about the process and not getting a product, and in terms of writing, and we're also implementing that in our own business model. So we're really focused on the process and not so much the product, because right now we really just need to iteratively improve. We are concerned that, of course, we could get squashed, by a larger company. So we work on kind of embracing uncertainty and staying on top of what's happening in the industry with any potential competitors. We take a systems approach where we think from both bottom up and top down perspectives. We think, for example, about objectives of an individual program or department. We look at student needs, department needs, faculty needs, and engaging with experts and stakeholders in a variety of areas. People tend to think very dualistically. And so, this kind of black and white approach is very difficult to challenge that, but I think it's important. And as Jessica alluded to earlier, we really like to take this move away from automation, where AI is being used to maybe create a quick evaluation or track a student's every move or detect and punish AI use, into a world of augmentation, where the AI is being used to for cognitive offloading. So in other words, taking away some of the tasks that catch your attention, but really is not where the main meat of your work might need to be. to facilitate teaching and learning and to streamline, in our case, research workflows. So really avoiding this one size fits all kind of mindset and trying to steer clear of mediocrity. So using AI to enhance and not just to do things faster. So excellence is always the benchmark. And as Jessica said, we never start with the technology. We always want to start with a human need, keeping the human in the very center of what we're trying to do, so that we're never getting sidetracked by, the shiny tech that is coming out, because it's wonderful and it is fun. But at the end of the day, it's about using it wisely to create a unique, high quality experience for humans.
Yeah. Good. Perfect. We left like 4 minutes for Q&A. I'm going to stop screen sharing.
Perfect. I was going to say thank you so much. And your business has been booming, and you all do have a very important meeting coming up in 4 minutes. But if anyone does have additional questions, feel free to add them in the comments from wherever you're watching, and we will do our best to get those answers and return those to you. So I love the fact that you all are researchers and experts, and your ability to talk about building a business in such a structured way that isn't always the case with entrepreneurs that don't have all the details. And I love the way that you've approached that, creating value and having an iterative process. So thank you for sharing all of that. One of the questions that did come in was, how did you kind of land on MindStudio as the vehicle for much of the AIs that you're building and the foundation of your business?
I think I'm almost positive I came across MindStudio on YouTube. I think at the time, Kimberly and I were doing a lot of generative AI research, and we were just educating ourselves and watching a lot of YouTube videos. And I'm almost positive I came across an interview with Dimitri. And so I jumped on MindStudio, and it was very intuitive. I think I built like 25 AI tools in a weekend. Like, it was that intuitive to me. And I just thought it was incredible to be able to instantly create a tool and then use it and send it to my students and get their opinions. And so, yeah, it was over a weekend that I came across it, and it just felt like I was able to apply everything that I had been learning through my research and instantly build something that could create value for my clients and myself and my students. And that's what I really just appreciate about MindStudio, is how intuitive it is. Like, you really do not need to be a computer scientist or a programmer or a coder in order to build tools using their platform.
I really appreciate what you said earlier, that this was a situation where you really don't need the financial backing. Not that you turned down the financial backing, but that you could utilize the technology and not have that be a requirement. And I know we're going to have to say goodbye to the two of you for now. Peter and I are going to stay on and talk a little bit more about MindStudio, how to take advantage of that and learn it. But thank you so much. Your information was valuable, and I know I learned a lot, and I've already had the chance to see you speak a couple of times. So congratulations on the success that you're having, and it's just going to be really fun to watch what you're doing. Just continue to expand.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. This has been really nice. MindStudio has been a wonderful partner and supporter of us, and yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, and we're excited to just continue to see where this takes us.
Amazing. Well, thank you again. So we'll say goodbye to the two of you, and then Peter and I will shift a bit to talking more about MindStudio.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Awesome.
All right. Well, Peter, that was so much fun to watch. Every time their business just is expanding and growing, and from watching a YouTube video to having a real thriving, growing, in-demand business is astounding. So why don't you share a little bit more about the MindStudio opportunity to learn, how people can take advantage of learning for free all the way to becoming certified, and kind of the demands there.
Totally. Yeah. So first of all, there's a ton of great resources. I think Kimberly and Jessica mentioned the YouTube channel, which is being updated constantly, right? Just type in MindStudio in the YouTube search bar, and you'll instantly see, dozens of videos that are all high quality to really get started and learn about specific aspects of the builder of the platform, right? And there's lots of ways to explore their documentation as well as very comprehensive. And so they also do regular free, 1 to 2 hour events once or twice a week. The MindStudio team is super dedicated to meeting new or prospective users and allowing for people to really dig in for free. And so that's something that I highly encourage people to take advantage of. You can go to uai.ai/learn to see a number of their resources that they've compiled there. And I'll share the link for that. But for those who are interested in having more of like a structured learning environment and a cohort-based experience, we do offer currently a 1-day intensive course to really dig into all the details. And I bring my background and sort of methodology from being a lecturer at UC Berkeley to be able to, pull together a number of best practices for creating learning that's very hands-on and interactive, to be able to start from ground zero and get up to, the advanced level where, Kimberly and Jessica clearly are, right? They are just totally, demonstrative of the capabilities of using MindStudio to develop real business solutions, right? And so I've really enjoyed working very closely with the MindStudio team, including with Dimitri and Luis Chavez, who is the head of product there. And their team's moving so fast. They're constantly adding in, new features and updates and capabilities. I'm super impressed by the momentum and velocity that they're, improving their platform on a weekly basis. There's new things. And so I'm in very close touch with them to update our materials as soon as possible to be able to reflect those and make sure that, people have, time with us too through office hours and ongoing support as, current students in our program, as well as alumni to be able to get ongoing updates from the product side of things and best practices as they're being created in real time. And so it's a fun community. There is a path officially to certification as a developer too, right? And so things are really growing on that side too. We're seeing a lot of businesses asking, MindStudio for certified developers to help them build out AIs and integrations with their existing software. And it's really fun to see that, I'm getting DMs on LinkedIn, by email. The Discord is also just a great hub of community for MindStudio. There's, gigs that are being made there all the time, and so it's exciting to see that interest. And that's part of the reason why we've built out an exam-based path to certification that we'll be launching very shortly here, which is going to really be a standalone direct path to becoming a certified MindStudio developer and being listed, to essentially be forwarded and connected directly to gigs and clients who are looking for MindStudio experts. So there's a lot happening later on in May. In particular, we'll be restructuring and expanding our programs into a multi-tiered course approach. And so there's just, lots of exciting things on the horizon.
Yeah, I think it's what's unique to me that isn't always the case with various platforms is MindStudio works for that solopreneur all the way up to, large enterprises. And at this point, there's been over 30,000 apps created already and spanning that whole range. So that to me has been fascinating as somebody who has a very non-technical background and then moved in to get certified with Salesforce and mostly to become more relevant, frankly, for the future. I'm a little intimidated by not having that background. What I've really appreciated about MindStudio is someone who isn't the typical developer can actually create things. And that's one of the things I love about Kimberly and Jessica's business and story is they are not technical background, but they have created an AI company and it's really thriving. So it's accessible. So those who maybe not searching to be a developer per se, this is something that if you are a developer and inclined in that technical background, it's just incredible what you can do. But someone without it can make AIs to use for yourself and certainly for clients or as a business. So I think that's really unique. And one of the things that I was so stunned about being able to just jump in and create some things that are customized and move from, having been, early adopter of ChatGPT and trying to do things over and over, you can just customize and use repeatedly and perfect it the way you want with MindStudio and create workflows it's just transformed things that took 12 hours a week to a half hour a week, and over time that's a pretty stunning difference. So it's been a lot of fun. But what should people do if they want to learn more, explore MindStudio, or look into the learning path and becoming certified?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I see you have the QR code up on your side of the screen here. So go ahead and check out that landing page. Our next course begins, it's a full day on April 13th. And that is a great opportunity to really dig in. If you're interested in getting really intensive hands-on live training, getting all your questions answered, becoming part of our community, it's definitely something that we have a few spots left in right now, but it's going to be filling up soon. So if you are interested, I encourage you to check it out. We do have an ongoing 20% discount for folks to sign up before the end of this week, before the end of the day on April 5th. Awesome to see someone has scanned that QR code. I see a question here as well. Where do we sign up to be notified when the MindStudio developer certification is available? So that's a great question. So I'm assuming you're talking about the developer exam, right? So you can follow MindStudio on LinkedIn. You can follow the upgrade on LinkedIn where you'll get notified. You can also send me an email directly and I'll make sure you get added to our list. We'll be doing ongoing live streams to update people with our new offerings. And also this is the very beginning of having a regular weekly showcase with Chelyn at this time each Wednesday to have other certified developers who've gone through our program showcase their no-code AIs that they've built for really interesting use cases and real life examples of what people have accomplished. So if you are interested, make sure to follow Chelyn or myself. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. And my email is peter@theupgrade.ai if you're interested in reaching out, or you can send me a quick DM on LinkedIn here. I'm always on LinkedIn, and I hope that helps answer your question. But that should be coming out in the next couple weeks, that exam-based path.
Yeah, and if you weren't aware, if maybe weren't aware as much, you can currently become a certified MindStudio developer through taking the course and doing a project-based process.
Exactly.
But they are doing an exam-based. So if somebody wanted to take that path, there'll be those choices. But you can actually, again, the next developer certification course is just 10 days out. Yeah. So a week from Saturday, and you could certainly sign up for that or check that out. And if certainly if we're connected, feel free to reach out. I've taken the certification. We will also in future weeks, we'll be sharing some tools that are public. Yes. So to answer the question, the course is the only way to become certified at the moment. So you need to take attend the certification course and do a project and then pass that
Right.
process
But
there.
that'll be
So,
changing
but
soon.
it's a
Yeah,
great
for the user, who's asking about that. So, yeah, there's going to be an expanded pathway, right? That'll be exam based, and more info on that in the next couple weeks. But currently, it is essentially one path, which is project based, and we'll be changing over to that exam based path. Yeah, by May 1st. So it's coming soon here. Yeah, and happy to answer your questions if you're interested. Yeah,
Perfect.
happy to chat with anyone too directly over a one-on-one call about our course offerings, about whether it may be right for you, about whether the exam-based path may be better, about sort of the pros and cons and advantages of going with one versus the other. Lots of new offerings in terms of our courses coming along with that new exam-based path to certification. So yeah, do stay tuned. We'll be providing more information on that soon.
Yeah, exactly. And as we, in the coming weeks, we'll have certified developers coming on, sharing their projects, and many of them will actually be public. So today's it's business and it's for customers, but we will be sharing additional tools and projects that developers have been working on that will be public, and you can go in and use them. And one of the really beautiful things about MindStudio is you can remix your own. So for me, building something out for a client, getting that customized, I can just remix it and then customize it using you don't have to rebuild anything. So it's really cool. So we'll share some that you can remix and test out yourself. And it's another great way to learn and to see how people are thinking through leveraging the tools. So, well, Peter, any last words? Otherwise, we will kind of wrap up for today and look forward to seeing folks next Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I just encourage people to go check out uai.ai/learn to see all of those free resources and documentation that are available, and they'll also be able to see, if they go to the MindStudio website, a number of those free live typically weekly events that the MindStudio team themselves are leading, that have really cool hands-on walkthroughs and tutorials live as well for some of the basics and specific use cases of building AIs for certain industries. And anyway, lots of great programming and resources available. And yeah, I hope to hear from you if you're interested in learning about the path to certification.
Excellent. Well, Peter, thank you for joining me today. I'm excited for the upcoming weeks and showcasing what the developers are creating.
Likewise. Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for next week.